of the organizers of this auspicious event. We want to say a very big thank you for turning up and turning out in your numbers. Thank you so much for gracing the invitation. Tonight is the official premiere of Caged Bird, and tonight we're not just celebrating a movie. Tonight we are spotlighting a very important issue in the Nigerian justice system and giving voice to the voiceless. As you know, there are several people who are voiceless in the Nigerian Correctional Center. And I have already mentioned that tonight is truly not just a celebration. We are going to be highlighting several issues that inmates awaiting trial face today. It's their reality, it's their experiences, and this film, Caged Bird, is definitely going to highlight a lot of those issues. In fact, going by recent statistics, 70% out of the 100% of inmates are inmates awaiting trial. That's truly touching indeed.
With the use of that word, caged, I start imagining things that happen within the correctional centers. I imagine persons that are in spaces, that are congested. I think of overcrowding. Then I look at it beyond that to look at what the Constitution says, about innocent persons. I now relate it to the issue of awaiting trial persons that have not yet been convicted, but are in custody. I imagine these persons may be innocent, but are in custody. So they are like caged persons because rightfully that should not be their place, because even international human rights laws, our own laws, indicate that pre-trial detention should be a measure of last resort. So getting persons in custody and having over 70% of these persons in custody being awaiting trial persons means that these people, in their mind, they're like being caged. Are you getting me?
That is where we have to look at it. We must know that the prison yard is to reform, not to punish. And when we get it from that angle, there are a lot of people will not want to go there. But when they go there, they come out more hardened, they unleash more terror on the society. So I believe that it's a real present danger that we are grappling with. And you cannot say we have fundamental rights if your liberty is taken away whimsically, capriciously, arbitrarily. It doesn't work.
My name is Kanayo Olisa Metu. I'm the Executive Director of Legend Golden Care Foundation, and I'm also the Executive Producer of The Caged Bird. So Caged Bird is actually a work of fiction, but the inspiration is true life occurrences with people that we've handled, people that we've dealt with. In Legend Golden Care Foundation, we work with pre-trial detainees, and a lot of them have been locked up in correctional facilities without trial. They've been locked up for so long, sometimes locked up for longer than the maximum sentence of the alleged crime. So that essentially is the inspiration behind The Caged Bird. So Caged Bird was shot in Lagos, and it was interesting because it's difficult when you want to use anything that involves the police, the judiciary, and all those people in the criminal justice sector. It's actually difficult to get permission to use like uniforms and all that, but we had to work around it, and it was frustrating at some point, but I think we made it work. I think you should be expecting a lot of cliffhangers, and it's very emotive. I think you should be expecting a lot of raw emotions and a lot of cliffhangers in the movie.
Chief Olisa Metu is my wife. That's the executive director of Legend Golden Care Foundation, and she's the executive producer of the movie. For the past 18-20 years, my wife has been very seriously involved with charity works, benevolence, and the rest of them. So because of my own personal experience, she now moved it totally to center on access to justice, things to do with prison reforms, things to do with prison rehabilitation of prisoners and other things like that. So what she saw, what she experienced when I had my problem, the problem they have with awaiting trial inmates in Nigeria. The fact that 70% of people in prison are awaiting trials, most of them actually have not been proven guilty and may never be proven guilty, but what they go through is a lot of concern to their families, to their communities, and indeed to the society. So she decided to produce this movie. I am totally proud of my wife. I am totally proud of her commitment to justice. I'm totally proud of her selflessness. The fact that whilst others are thinking about investment, while others are thinking about taking care of themselves, all she's concerned about is helping the not so privileged. I'm proud of it, and may God bless her good soul always.
Hi ladies and gentlemen, my name is Toby Makinde. So when I first heard the title Caged Bird, it wasn't really clear, it was vague. I didn't understand why that title, but when I went through the script, it now all made sense to me. This story is one that definitely needs to be told. Before now, I really didn't know much about the Nigerian justice system, but after reading the script and being on set playing the character, it made me know so much, and in my head I'm like, wow, so there are actually people that are going through stuff like this. And I look forward to seeing the movie. I'm sure that once the audience sees it, they will learn a lot, and I really can't wait for that. How was it like on set for me? I mean, it was amazing. It was an amazing experience. I really enjoyed every bit. I was made to look really scruffy, so I remember having all the beards on my face. I mean, as you can see on the poster, it was an amazing experience. My co-actors made it simple for me, made it easy for me, and who else? The director was also an amazing person, and I enjoyed every moment working with him and the crew members. So yeah, kudos. I can't wait for you all to see this. What the audience should expect from this film is education. They will be educated. Apart from being entertained, they will love it. They will learn a lot, about the Nigerian justice system, and they will be more aware about the things that go on in our society, which I feel is the core of what Legend Golden Care Foundation stands for. So yeah.
My name is Morgan Okebu. I'm the director of Caged Bird. So when you hear Caged Bird, you're going to see, you're supposed to expect an emotional story, emotional film that has to do with a guy who wanted to do something nice for his life and his environment through music, but ended up in the police cell. From the police cell, he ended up in prison. So for the audience, what they're going to expect is an emotional story that ended tragically, and which has a lot of lessons for the youths. But while you are doing whatever it is you're doing, just make sure that you play to the rules and try to avoid mixing up with the wrong people. That's basically it. It was tedious, quite tedious, because when you watch the movie, you see that there's a lot of cast. We had a crowd scene in the prison. We had challenges. Even the day we were filming, when we were supposed to wrap up, we ended up filming into the night because of rain. The rain disturbed us, and I think we finished filming around 2 a.m. that night. So it was very, very tedious. I think my favorite scene is where the character was the male character was telling the girl that he has made it because of his music, because he felt he has blown because of the kind of music he did, which we later saw in the movie. So he was telling the girl was pregnant because obviously from the beginning the guy didn't have anything. So he was looking at it that he has made it because he has listened to the song. He feels this is the song that will blow. All right, and the girl was pregnant. Okay, so where will we get money? How are we going to feed this child? How am I going to go through the pregnancy without money? So, but this guy said, I have a good song. It's gonna blow. I'm gonna take care of you. I'll take care of your parents. I'll take care of everyone. So that was my my favorite part of this movie.
My name is Pace Christopher. So I featured in the film Caged Bird. When I got the script, I was so excited because this film talks about, justice for those who can't give themselves justice, for the innocent one lying in the prison and in the prison that are just there and they are dying silently. So this film, it's more like advocating for them. And watch out for this film because it's amazing. You're going to learn so much. It's about love, it's about care, and it's about sacrifice. Love comes with sacrifice, and you will know what Duchess did, like the sacrifices she made for the love of her life. The favorite part of the film was where Prince was singing for me. He came around. I think that was the last time Duchess saw him. Like, he was singing for me, like we were just vibing to one of his latest songs. Like, he just got his inspiration, and then he came to me first to hear him sing, and it was so beautiful. Like hearing your man, your lover sing to you, that butterfly. It's just so amazing. So that was my favorite part in the film. The challenging part for me was when Duchess was told that Prince died in the prison. Like, it feels so bad when you get the news that your loved one just passed. Like, it's so heartbreaking. So, Duchess was on the floor crying. It was so touching. Like, I literally felt it. It's more like me hearing something not pleasant about my twin sister. Like, how I would feel. So that was how I felt, and I gave it my all. Like, I felt it. After the scene, when I got home, I was still crying because it was so touching for me, and I wouldn't want anybody to experience that phase at all.
Now, I equally look beyond that to think about the issue of reformation and rehabilitation, and imagine the amount of this, that goes on in actual fact inside custody. In terms of custody for a convicted person should be an opportunity to be corrected, and when correction is not happening, it's just like warehousing somebody. And when you get that picture of being warehoused without much happening, you start thinking this person may be caged. But what worries everybody, the concern is when the person comes out, how is the person going to come out? Because that person will come out one day, definitely. So if this caged bird was not reformed, it means there's danger for the society. Seeing a movie that will communicate the message, because I know the convent, I know the organization that has organized this, I know the kind of work they do, I know the message they want to pass to Nigerians. So I think it is a movie that will resonate with Nigerians, that will realistically paint the picture of these kind of issues that we have raised. And I'm looking at it as a movie that will touch everybody, the public, the government, the players, the practitioners within the criminal justice system, to do the needful so that we have a more efficient and effective correctional system in Nigeria.
You have somebody close?
Yes, I'm a pikin father. The name na Elvis. We don't dey here over 3 years, getting to 4 years. They say do something, but say kidnap person. But I know Elvis. He never Vicky aunt. I beg, help me. Help us.
It's sad, sister. Cases like this have become so rampant. But here is my card. Yes. Unfortunately, I have to run. I represent Legend Golden Care Foundation, and we handle cases like this.
I say, I don't get money.
Don't worry. Just come to the office.
I'd also like to say a big thank you to National Human Rights Commission for their unwavering support, yes, and collaboration. And indulge me also as I say a happy birthday to the chairman of the board of Legend Golden Care Foundation. Today is his birthday, and he's chosen to spend it with us this evening. There are so many people to acknowledge. If I started, I would probably go down the slippery slope. But I think it's important that I acknowledge the Honorable Minister of Interiors, only because I work, the work we do is under Interior Ministry, who is ably represented by the Controller General of Customs. Of prisons, sorry, pardon me. Okay, now last but certainly not the least, I think it will be unconscionable for me not to recognize the Almighty God, who in his love and grace for me has blessed me with an amazing husband, who carries on in life like his sole purpose is to make sure that I achieve my purpose in this life. So this movie was 100% bankrolled by him. Prior to last year, when we got our first funding, 100% of the operations of LGCF was bankrolled by him. And even with the funding we have, at least 50 to 60% of our operations are still bankrolled by him, because I get so passionate about what I want and I don't let funding be a stumbling block. And every time he sees I really need to do something, he just steps us to the plate. So indulge me and give him a round of applause for doing it. Now I want to say that Caged Bird is not supposed to be a weapon to berate any individual or any institution. It's supposed to be, and it is, a tool for advocacy. One that I hope will bring the conversations of awaiting trial, to the forefront and where it belongs. It's a grim, when you look at the statistics of people awaiting trial in Nigeria, the statistics are really grim. Now, many people in corrections believe that they have been forgotten. And to be honest, a lot of them have really fallen through the cracks. Every citizen in Nigeria is important and nobody should be considered as cannon fodder. Everybody's life is important. Now, it might seem like sometimes people just say to themselves, why do I bother with people behind correction, people behind bars? They did the time, they should do the crime. But I beg to disagree, because like I said earlier, every single life matters. Now, even though this is a work of fiction, I think it's important to state that every single thing here, every single scenario you saw was inspired by true life actions, true life situations that we have personally dealt with. Now, statistics, like we've heard over and over again, have shown that 70% of people in correctional facilities are awaiting trial. In fact, a lot of them are going to spend more time awaiting trial than the maximum sentence for the alleged crime, even if they were found guilty. And so at Legend Golding Foundation, while we, on the one hand, are doing all we can to see that people that need to, go through, people that have cases to answer, have their day in court in a timely fashion, while also doing all we can to bring people out completely that have no business being in corrections ab initio. On the other hand, we are also working with duty solicitors to ensure that people do not arbitrarily be sent into the criminal justice system when there's no need for that. And it's important that we understand what duty solicitor system is, duty solicitor scheme does. What it essentially is that we have duty solicitors, lawyers in certain police stations that ensure that people who come in there, who first of all don't understand their rights, are helped through the process. And some people, even when they do understand their rights, do not have the ability to do anything about it. And that's like I said in the interview, the police is usually the entry point into the criminal justice system. So if we are able to stem that tide, I think that we will be doing a lot better. Now, we also understand in Legend Golding Care that some people require, to be in custody. We understand that. But putting people in custody without any form of rehabilitation can actually be counterproductive. It's very important that when you have people in custody, you do all that you can to rehabilitate them. If we don't do that, what we inadvertently will be doing is turning our correctional facilities into grooming ground for crime. And guess what? They will get worse and come out worse. People sometimes say, they did the crime, let them do the time. I agree with you. When you do the time, when you do the crime, you do the time. Also shown that 85 to 90% of people in correctional facilities are going to come out into the society. What is the quality of people we are bringing back into the society? If they are not properly rehabilitated,
they are going to wind up being in the society, your society, my society. They are going to be people that we work with. We are going to hire them as our domestic help, yes. You would hire them as your driver. You would hire them as your chef. We might even hire them as our nannies to help us raise our children. So while it's the primary responsibility of the government to offer rehabilitation, I believe it's also the responsibility of every citizen to do their bit. You know, because if we don't do anything about it, it could one day come and bite you. And so to that end, one of the things we are very passionate about in Legend Golden Care Foundation is setting up skill acquisition centers in correctional facility. At the Suleja Correctional Facility, we equipped their e-learning center with computers, office materials, and everything they need to be able to run, to be able to do WIRE and go to Open University. At the new Yola Correctional Facility in Adamawa, we did the same thing, gave them equipment for barbing, for tailoring, and for carpentry. We're currently working at the Dupa here in the FCT, and we would hand that over this month. And by next month or the middle of August, we're going to start working on another one somewhere in the southeast. Thank you very much. Now, I haven't said all that to toot our horns. I've said all that to say that Legend Golden Care Foundation is doing a whole lot. And to be honest, there's only so much we can do ourselves. And I'm here inviting everybody who's here, who has been moved by that. Like I said, even though it's fiction, the inspiration of a true life situation, to partner with Legend Golden Care Foundation. You know, in the Western world, I hear people say things like, oh, I give to my charity, this is my favorite charity, I give to this, I give to that. And those things are alien to Nigeria, but they shouldn't be. You know, people in the space were very shaken with and still are shaken with the shrinking funding space with what happened with America. But the truth is, it's not their problem, it's our problem. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, while it's good to get funding from outside, if people in Nigeria, Nigerian citizens rise up to the occasion and do what we need to do, we have all it takes to do, to take care of this problem. And so I'm here, standing here, asking you to partner with us. I think that most people got a flyer, not a flyer, a pamphlet. And two things are in the pamphlet. At the back of the pamphlet, you would have one, our account details. Secondly, there would be like a pledge form. If you feel led and you're able to, I would appreciate it if you pledge. It could be a one-off donation. It could be a quarterly thing. It could be however periodically you want to do it. And while sending us money would be fantastic, we would also like to have your details so that we keep you in the know of what we're doing. Everything I said because I also want you to understand that Legend Golden Foundation is a very good ground to sow your seed in. And don't take my word for it. I want you to fact check every single thing I've said. And I guess this would be me saying thank you very much for taking time out of a very busy schedule to spend the evening with us. Thank you very much, and may God bless all of us.
She has brought to bear on what operates within the criminal justice system, from the police to the judiciary to corrections. A takeaway for me in this particular movie is that we all need to put our hands together to see that the issue of congestion, delay in the criminal justice system is addressed properly.
Well, properly called is no longer prisons, it's correctional prisons. So my expectation is that the correctional prison should live up to its name. And Caged Bird as a literary piece, has essentially captured the fact that literature, any medium of literary art, whether it is spoken word, whether it is storytelling, or films, actually mirrors society. Literature mirrors society. And whereas it may not be fact, it is not diverse from what happens actually in prison. So it's a prudent effort and it's a very ambitious effort, in terms of bringing to the fore the circumstances of people who are in prison. So my takeaway is there has to be efforts to make sure that there are facilities that are available for inmates, so that they come out and they come out corrected and they become better citizens.
Come out of the prison into the society, they become reformed and better citizens. But the Nigerian prison or system, prison system is the exact opposite. It hardens up criminals, criminal suspects, and make them more daring and more vindictive towards getting back on the society what they were fed with. I think the film is a damn good mirror of what actually goes on in the society, and I think it should never happen. I want to give kudos to Legend Care Foundation for what they are doing in trying to ameliorate the intolerable conditions of awaiting trial inmates in our various prisons across the country, where the prison yards are congested, no facilities, many of them get sick, they die. You imagine a person dying like Elvis, whose innocence was never allowed to come out, and he died like that, like a guilty person, and he was never guilty. He did nothing wrong, but the society never gave him the opportunity to show that he was innocent. It should never happen again.
The Administration of Criminal Justice Monitoring Committee, created by Section 469 of the AGJA 2015, majorly is charged with monitoring the implementation of the AGJA law. So what we basically do at the ACGMC is majorly to monitor how prosecuting agencies and indeed the courts comply with the law, as passed since 2015. So majorly what that does basically is to monitor that the dictates of the law is being followed. For example, what we watch now, you see that when he was arrested, he wasn't probably just told what he was arrested for. He signed a confessional statement without even knowing the import of what was there. That goes against the section 15.4 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. Many things there. So first off, the fact that we monitor the implementation of that law itself, because the law itself has tried to checkmate, every arbitrary use of force or arrest or remand with prosecuting agencies. But furthermore, even the law itself prescribes something called like oversight visits. So, for example, the monitoring committee leads oversight visits with supervising magistrates to detention centers to look at the cases on ground, look at where it has gotten to, look at what to be done about it. You understand now? So that monitoring, for example, helps all those prosecuting against the police keep themselves on their toe, know that there's a body that monitors them. It's different now if they were just operating by themselves with nobody monitoring them. So that, for example, is one. There are many more things that the body does. For example, also like visits to correctional centers. We were in Kuje, we were in Suleja, we were in Kefi with the chief judge of the FCT to go and see cases, jail delivery exercise, to see cases that need to be attended to for intervention, and those ones were done, people were freed. Persons whose case file was found, persons who were kept there arbitrarily awaiting trial for a long time, no evidence against them whatsoever, into the best discretion of my Lord CJ, they were given freedom too. So many bodies like Legal Care Foundation too were on ground to perfect bail, because some people are just behind the walls just for the fact they couldn't perfect their bail conditions. Some of them for meager amount like 40,000 naira. So our body, for example, then leads that exercise so that all these sister stakeholders can come on board and then intervene, pay those fines. If this exercise is not done, they probably will know that there's a fine to be paid.
With our criminal justice system, we must ensure that nobody is punished for an offense he or she did not commit. Incarcerating people without trial is in itself a crime against humanity. When you arrest a child or anybody and put the person in what you call correctional center, which is actually prison, and deny the person his or her rights, personal liberties, and put him on the role of awaiting trial. Awaiting trial does not confer any guilt on the person who is standing trial. The thing the government should do is to quickly accelerate trials so that anybody who is arraigned in court or arrested should be tried and sentence handed down, either discharge the person or convict the person. Awaiting trial is a misnomer, because if the person, after incarceration for so long, stays there and the court finds him not guilty, what is the compensation that the government will pay to such a person? Most times they ask you to go and tell you are lucky to be let out after spending maybe 10 years. But I have seen worse cases, the cases that had to do with juveniles, young children that are hawkers in the streets. Most times they are rounded up by the police and dumped in police cells or even in prison custody awaiting trial. Some of these children from tender ages of 8, 9, 10 can stay there to be 18 years. It happened, and in 2018 I had to do an analysis of reports I received from the Nigerian prisons or correctional centers, where I found out that a lot of children were arrested at ages ranging between 9 and 10, 11, 12, and they stayed in prison to be 19 without trial. So this is a very cruel system of justice, system. So we need to do something about it and get the police to ensure that they should not be reckless in arresting young people and putting them away without giving them access to justice. So this movie today is a wake-up call for everybody, so that we have to be sure that those who are arrested and put in detention are people who are tried, given accelerated hearing, and they will be able to get justice in the end. So today we have seen the case of Elvis, when somebody came to look for him in the correctional center, and finally she was told that Elvis is dead, after spending 3 years. So it's heartbreaking, and we shouldn't allow such thing to be part of our system here in Nigeria.
The movie brought out the decay in our criminal justice system. It also showed us that we can actually help those so-called forgotten individuals. And to crown it all, the CEO, Executive Director of Golden, what again? Yes, rolled out a lot that she has done. I was so impressed.
To young men, dress the way you want to be addressed. I mean, as much as Elvis was innocent, and I really do not blame him for his predicament, I would also say that, sometimes we need to be careful how we look, because if Elvis was wearing a suit, I probably think that the police officers wouldn't have picked him up. So sometimes your appearance is very important. As much as I know that because of the fact that he does music, that's what warrants how he looks. Sometimes we have to be careful, because these things, I don't entirely blame Elvis for what happened to him. I mean, it's not his fault, but sometimes we have to be careful. Now to the correctional system, in Nigeria. To be honest, before this movie, I would say I didn't really know anything about, like the justice system. I've learned a lot from the movie. I mean, I did the movie, but it still felt like I was watching, somebody else, So I've learned a lot. I would say, please, I will appeal to the government, please, let's attend to these people awaiting trial, let's know, their fate on time, so that they don't just get to, stay in the correctional services, because like the leader of the Legend Golden Care Foundation, like she said earlier inside, she said that the more these people stay in the correctional system, the more they tend to be worse off, criminally, and we don't want them. I mean, it's called a correctional facility. It's meant to reform them so that they come out to be better people in the society. So we should work towards that aim instead of, getting them there and then them becoming worse.